Hello and welcome everyone. I'll be trying to explain a problem um, of code forces, problem named Serval and Inversion magic. Basically, in this problem, you're going to be given a string consisting of only two characters, 0 and 1. What you're going to have to output is whether that string can be converted to a palindrome or not. And you are only allowed to apply one operation exactly once. Now, what is that operation? That operation is choose any substring out of that whole string and inverse everything, every character of that particular substring. If I give an example of that, that would be, let's say I pick, let's say I pick this as one of my substring. And if I apply the operation, it will be like reversing every character. So if it's 0, it's going to be converted to 1. If it's 1, it's going to be converted to 0. And you have to apply this operation only once, exactly once. Not more, not less, exactly once. And finally, you're going to have to output whether you have successfully converted the string to a palindrome or not. And first of all, I would like to say that if you apply the operation that they have told us onto the whole array itself, so if you apply the operation onto the whole array, the state does not change. Why is that? Because you are applying on every element. So if it were a palindrome before, it's going to be palindrome again. For example, if I say 0, 1, 0, if I apply the operation onto the whole string, it will be 1, 0, 1. So the state of of whether it's a palindrome or not is actually the same. If it was palindrome before, it's going to be palindrome again. If it was not, then it's not. So we're going to have to like pick. So if the string is palindrome even before, when you take take it as an input, the answer would always be yes. But that's not the point. The point is the string would not always be given as palindrome. You're going to have to make it out. And that's why we have to move to pick the right subarray to literally switch every character, or should I say apply the operation exactly once to see whether you can make it a palindrome or not. Now, that's why I have taken a special test case here to make you understand about how literally are we going to apply the operations here. So the best way possible is to look for, when you generally compare whether that string is a palindrome or not. How you do that to check whether your string is palindrome or not, you make one pointer here and another pointer here. Let's say this is I and this is J. And what do you do each and every time? Each and every time we compare whether these two n characters are equal or not. If they're equal, then just move it out. Move I to forward, move J to backward, and check, and so on and so forth. If at some point they're not equal, if the characters are not equal at some point, you say that it's not palindrome. That's exactly what you're going to do here, but a little bit different because we're applying the switching operation exactly once. And so, as you can see, in terms of this string, I can say that two endpoints are equal. First of all, you compare this with this character. As you can see, 0 is equal to 0. Yes, they're equal. Okay, no worries. Then move here. So far, we have a palindromic situation or state, but now, here we do not possess that. The character at the second and the character at here, both of the endpoint characters, they're not equal. Now, right at this very moment, you have two options to go for. Either you take it granted for that part and you go for this part. So you have two options, either from here or from here. So just step aside from one of the ends and deal with the other characters like that. So if I say this was the part where the first mismatch happened, first deal with this part, uh, not taking one of the endpoints in both of those cases. I hope you're getting that. And what you would do, simply just add what would be the desired character on the other endpoints. So if I deal with only this part, okay, let's just clarify this to make it understand more. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, I guess. Yeah. So where were we? We were here. We had unmatched part. We could do either one of the two things. Either we could make this character here 0 equal to 1 and move forward on both cases. I hope you're understanding that. Now, on the next part, we're also going to do the same thing. Here, we're dealing with, okay, these two characters are not equal. As you can see, we're only going to apply either here, one of these suffixes would be applied to the operation that we needed to do, which is flipping, until we get a point that, yes, we won't have to apply this operation because the endpoint characters are equal. Or you have, and also you're gonna also have to take care of that case. So let's take care of this case first. So what's gonna happen? 0, 0. Okay, we've got 1, we've got 0. I will take it as 1 as we're dealing with this part. Okay, let us apply the exact operation here, and our substring started from here. Now we cannot stop. Now we cannot, if we stop at some point, reversing or exchanging the characters, then after that we won't be able to apply the operation. Remember, we can only apply the operation exactly once. And so after that, we get another 0 and 1. But as you can see, we're dealing with suffix part first. We're dealing with this case, so we're gonna do what? We're gonna make this 1 equal to 0 because we're gonna have to make a palindrome. We're gonna have to apply so far to this substring the operation, right? The switching operation. So 1 should be equal to 0 in order to make a palindrome. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it 0, and this is also 0. And move this character here, move this character here. Okay, we have the same character, so nothing else here. As you can see, we've successfully made a palindrome, but exactly what we did, which substring did we actually change to make it palindrome? This substring, right? This 1, 0 converted to 0, 1. Now this could have happened. Now we're also going to apply the same thing, but for this part here too, because we had two endpoints, right? We're gonna have to deal with two cases, two of these particular thing. So for this part, we're also gonna check the same thing and do the operation, but now here we're gonna apply a prefix of exact operation that we were told to do. And out of these two cases, we will finally check, like this case came out of the second box here, but for the first box, we're gonna make another string, let's say S2, and this is S1, and we're gonna compare whether any of these are palindrome or not. And if they are palindrome, one of them are palindrome, it's gonna be yes, otherwise it's gonna be no. No. One thing for sure is that, one thing to notice is that, let's say you are comparing this point with this point, and at some point you get a mismatch and you try to change it like that. You try to change it here. Let's say there's a mismatch here too. You make that 0 to 1 because there was 1. But at some point it might happen that the characters are actually equal. Now when they're actually equal, after that you won't apply any operation and you'll just break out. You won't go after that. Why? Because you are applying the substring operations. You won't be able to um, apply changes other than consecutive indices. I hope you're understanding that. And so let's take a look at the code section. Um, as you can see, I'm taking the int, taking the string, and this is like uh, for both of those cases, I'm taking two strings, temp1 and temp2. Finally we had to compare. You're gonna have to compare whether any one of these things are literally palindrome or not. And if they are, the answer would be yes. Otherwise, it would be no if none of them are palindrome, even after applying efficient substring flipping or whatever. And yeah, that's how we're gonna do that. So this is like for the first case, this is like for the second case, temp2, let's say, and this is like checking whether they're palindrome or not. If uh, if they're palindrome, then yes, otherwise it's no. And this is actually finding out the box part and comparing part. The box part that we talked about, you know, finding out the efficient substring, whether we can applying finding out the efficient substring to apply the operation, but also checking whether ultimately it's a palindrome or not, because we're dealing with the substring, not subsequence. So yeah, that's all from me, and thank you very much for listening.